Rotarians. Don't we just love this snow falling outside? Who's making a difference?
We are.
Today is National Squirrel Appreciation Day. What is your favorite color of squirrel? Red, gray, or black?
Black.
The blacks have it, all right. Our Rotary Club Secretary, Chris Barker, will now announce our guests.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
We have a lot of guests with us today, and when I announce their names, if they would please stand up so we can give them a warm welcome. First, we have Colleen Short visiting us from Relay for Life. And then from the Hudson Service Learning class, we have Samantha Solbeis helping us with our AV, and Caitlin Weigel. And then we have three people visiting us from HCSA. We have Les Fossler, Jim Garrison, and Jennifer McKinley. And then visiting us from the Akron Club is George Rooney. And then we have Lynn Zuck, guest of Liz Ramsey. And Matt LaFountain, guest of Art LaFountain. And then joining us for his third meeting is Peter Goheen. Good morning.
Next, Jimmy, are you ready to give us any update on news?
So we're not going to sing happy birthday to Mr. Warburton because he's not here, but his son is here. But in any event, wish your dad a happy birthday. And Liz Ramsey was very kindly brought many old copies of our Rotary magazine. In fact, I just gave 3 to Peter Goheen, and anybody else who is thinking about becoming a member or is just become a member, they're out on the table there by the sign-in. Please take a few with you. It's a great read. It tells you all about our wonderful Rotary Club International.
Thank you, Jimmy. Now it's time for us to vote on our Rotary officers and directors for next year. Joe, do you want to start us off?
Thank you. Good morning. So our nominating committee met in early December and selected a great slate of officers for next year. And I would like to read those names and have them stand to be recognized since we have so many guests. For president, that will be me. President-elect is David Basil. I know David is here. Secretary, again for this year, Chris Barker. Assistant Secretary, helping her, is Joe Zapatowski. There's Joe over there. Treasurer is Ben Rexroad. And Assistant Treasurer is Rich Warfield. Sergeant at Arms, Ron Strobel. And of course, our past president will be Allison Feaster. We also had 3 board members coming up for renewal, and they have all agreed to remain on the board, and they are Dan Williams, Dan is here, Jim Ahern, who's down south, and Den Rich is here. So thank you for all of those people. Thank you for stepping up. I will turn it over to Ron to actually run the election.
On your table are ballots. It's a third of a sheet of paper or half a sheet of paper. We would ask you to, if you are in favor of this slate as presented, just check the box on the bottom. And if you would, leave your ballots on the table and I'll pick them up after the meeting. So please, unless there's any nominations from the floor, which would be unusual, please sign your, or not sign your ballot, but check your ballot and I'll pick them up. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm up here for another reason. The gala is underway and the committee has been meeting. Back there at that table, let's pay attention, please.
2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, I think you're right.
This is important. and I'll take your names because it may make a difference later on. Unfortunately, we've had a couple members retire this year, and the other unfortunate part is they were real contributors to the auction and the number of donors that they called on. As a result, we have a list of donors, and about 98% of these gave last year, so you wouldn't be calling on somebody who has not been a contributor. So I'm going to pass this around, and I'd ask you if you are familiar with any of these or if you would like to call on them, please put your name out to the side so that we can update the database. And I will also let you know that if we don't fill all these, they will be assigned, and it might be to that table that was noisy. So please, these are, most of them are downtown. As I said, most of them are contributors, some of them very good contributors, and so really all it's going to require is a call on them and you'll get a donation. The letters will be going out either the last week of February or first week of March. So we're trying to get the database in order right now, which is the reason for sending this around. Thank you all for your past participation, and hopefully we'll get this filled.
Thanks, Ron. Next, we're going to hear from George Rooney. He's here appropriately for the 25th Chili Open. He is past president of the Akron Rotary Club and co-chair of this big event.
Thanks, Allison. February 7th, Saturday. I happen to know that nobody in this room has anything else to do that day besides come down to Hale Farm and Village and play golf. Golf on the first Saturday of every February is what we've done in the Chili Open for 25 years, and it's all about our children with special needs. The Rotary Camp down in the Portage Lakes last year served over 1,700 children with a variety of special needs, physical disabilities and mental disabilities. We also have programs for adults, so we served over 1,800 total last year. The Chili Open, we do not turn away any family for lack of funds, and last year the club shelled out $145,000 so these children could come to our camp. It's a 1-week overnight camp. There's water activities, land activities, and the kids just love it. For some of these kids, it's the only time that they have to get away from the normal routine, and for their parents, sometimes it's the only respite they have from the caregiving. The Chili Open is the main fundraiser for the camp. And we have a wonderful raffle in addition to the golfing opportunities, and I've put on some of the tables, I ran out, but sign-up sheets, registration sheets for the golf. You can also register online at chiliopen.net. But I'm here also to give you an opportunity to support these kids and win some great prizes. The raffle first prize is a 2015 Chevy Sonic. The second prize is a 55-inch TV. The third prize is behind-the-scenes Cleveland Indians sports package with box seats. And the fourth prize is a Bridgestone Invitational golf packages with passes to the clubhouse and the course. The tickets are $20 a piece. Each one has a coupon worth $15 at Bravo's at the Summit Mall, so it's really a $5 purchase if you want to look at it that way. So in addition to that drawing, we have a special drawing this year. We call it Snowmania. Anybody who buys 5 of these tickets, $100 worth, is entered into a separate drawing. And the winner of that drawing will win $50,000 if it snows 6 inches on February 21st of this year. Last year, the day of the snow drawing, it snowed 5 inches. So it can happen here in February in Ohio. So thank you all for supporting the children with special needs, and I'll be here afterwards to sell the tickets. Thank you.
All righty, get out those golf clubs. Next, we're going to hear about Relay for Life. Colleen Short is here. James, are you going to introduce her?
Morning, Rotarians. I'm actually wearing the shirt that we had 2 years ago, and it poses the question, is the fight against cancer read the Rotary 4-way test? And the answer is yes. And in case you forgot, there's the 4-way test there, so keep the shirt with you always. Anyway, I'm going to introduce Colleen, really short introduction. She is the chair, or lead of the this year's Relay for Life. I think I got brochures out to a lot of you that just show you that this is the corporate sponsorship opportunities, and it's got the date this year is May 30th, and it's 12 hours this year, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and it's back at Lavelli Field. And one of the nice things about Lavelli Field is you can put up tents on the field. You can, you know, the stadium is fantastic, but obviously that we don't really want you to put stakes into the turf. That's not too good. So, so anyway, so Lavelli will allow for a lot more activities, you know, right sort of in the central area. But anyway, Colleen will tell you a little bit about herself and her involvement, and also about, like I said, this is really about some of the sponsorship opportunities that I know we're also going out for, you know, our own fundraiser and so on and so forth. But this, all 100% of the money goes back to the American Cancer Society, and I think we've talked about before, each of us either people either have had cancer or family members or friends, and those who have succumbed to it or else have survived it. And the purpose of the Relay for Life is not only to raise funds, but also to be educational and also to be a celebration of life, to support the people who are involved in that cancer field. So anyway, Colleen.
James, thank you so much for having me. James really kind of just did a whole overview. I don't know what is left to say. He does such a good job.
You can go over this.
But my name is Colleen Short. I am the event lead for this year's event. We have had a lot of changes, as you guys have seen and James has explained. Just a little bit about me. I got involved 9 years ago. I was in South Carolina. A friend of mine invited me to a relay event. She's a cancer survivor. She had childhood cancer. I went to the event, was amazed, couldn't believe all these people were there. I was no stranger to cancer. I had lost my aunt and an uncle at before that time. So I was shocked at how many people were coming together. I was hooked after that point. The next year, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. I lost her 3 years later, and I've been active in Relay for Life, and I've kind of stepped up every year. I started out as just a team member, and then I was a team captain, and then I was a committee member, and this will be my 3rd year as a team chair, team captain and also an event chair. This will be my 3rd year in Hudson. I currently live in Ravenna, but I grew up in Hudson, and as I was telling James, my first job was actually at Laurel Lake, so it's great to be back where I started it all. We won't talk about how long ago, but this was my first job here. My mom was an active member of the community. She was Girl Scout leader. She she helped with the schools, helped with everything. So it was a tribute to come back to Hudson and a tribute to my mom to be so active with the relay community here. Plus, I know just about everybody. So in Hudson, I grew up here, and there's still a lot of people, and I actually recognize a lot of people here. So with that, in October 2013, thankfully I was already very active with relay and already had my relay family built. I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was extremely thankful because of all the resources that I had already learned about through the Cancer Society that I was able to use them, and I was able to relay back on my relay family. I got some of the best support from those that were at relay, that were on our committee, that came to our meetings. I cannot speak enough about our community in general, because I would not have been able to be as strong as I was and to make it through all of my treatments without being a part of relay the way that I was. It was amazing to me. So I really encourage anybody who isn't involved, and if they need any resources at all, to reach out, because I thankfully already had them, but now I can speak from another level. So that's kind of just a little overview on me. We have a lot of different changes, like James said. We're going back to basics this year. We're just going to do a simple relay, a lot of fun. We're starting with a 5K at 8 in the morning. It's going to start at La Valley and end at La Valley. We'll do the award ceremony inside the stadium. Then we're going to start at 10 o'clock with our opening ceremony, which is a survivor celebration lap. That's officially kicks off the event when the survivors take the track, and then we have the caregivers join in. We'll have a fight back ceremony at 4 p.m. We are going to have a survivor lunch following the opening ceremony. We are also planning a pizza party at 5 p.m. for families. Then we're planning on having our luminaria ceremony at 9 p.m., followed by our traditional fireworks that everybody in Hudson loves, which is generously donated by American Fireworks. And then we are also going to have an after party of such with a band that's going to play from 10:30 till probably about midnight, just to give us some time to break down and clean up our sites and everything else. There's going to be a lot of different opportunities this year. Going back to La Valley Field, we're going to be able to have a dunk tank, which we think is going to be James's first in the dunk tank, if anybody wants to come, right?
Actually, I was talking to Phil last night, and he thinks he might be able to get the principals of all the schools. And so talk about a way to get excitement among the kids in the city, and probably the staff too. The opportunity to dunk your principal, I think. Yes. So hopefully we can make that happen.
We are planning a lot of different things. La Valley gives us a little bit more of an option, because we don't want to, like James said, put stakes in the turf at the new high school, where we can put our tents down and we can actually have a little bit of a home this year back at La Valley. So we're going to have a lot of different opportunities that way, and I really thank the Rotary Club for all their support that they've given us throughout the years. It's been amazing. That's the one team that we know we can always rely on, that's always going to have our back. We know that you guys are always there, so I'm very grateful for all of it, and I know that my team is always happy, and having James on our committee this year has made a huge thing. I don't know if you guys are aware, but he's our community champion this year.
Quite figure out how I volunteered for that.
It kind of just fell into his lap. We don't need to go there. It's okay. But James has stepped up and he's helping us on our committee, and it's been great having him, because he does know so many people in the community. We have a lot of different opportunities for teams and a lot of things that we're doing, and James comes to the team captain meetings and he finds that stuff out, so I hope he relays that information. Okay, he'll relay it to everybody. But within all of that, I know one of the things that a lot of your members are most interested in is how to get those sponsorships, and so I have some more flyers out, and James has passed them, and I also have some really nice packets over here that Wanda is our sponsorship chair this year. She has these packets that she's giving out to the community. If anybody needs them, please come see me. We have changed some of our sponsorship. All of the levels are the same throughout all relays now. So you're not going to go to a different relay and get something different, which is very helpful to the community, because there's not going to be any arguing over, oh, well, I want this and I want that. Really, it's going to start anywhere from $100 up to as much as we want to get. Each sponsor gets different levels. Everything's listed. It's an amazing way for a entrepreneur, a company, even an individual to just be recognized at the event as a supporter. It's especially important if they can't be at the event, but they want the community to know that they are active and they want to support Relay. So on top of your own, you guys sponsor your team, you guys fundraise for your team. If you know anybody in the community or around the community that would be interested in sponsoring, please see James or I. We've got packets, we've got all of this information. It's a great way to basically help relay out and get the word out there.
I have one question. This could really add to your campaign if we have a chance to dunk James.
I think he should be first. I think he should be first.
School board member, yeah.
And I think that should be when we put the ice in the dunk tank. I wasn't gonna do the piranhas. I was just gonna do ice. So.
Okay, yeah, so as the brochures have, you can go from $100 Hope sponsor, which puts a track sign with your company or your logo out there, all the way up to Platinum sponsor, which would be really a major, all the way up to presenting sponsor.
Yeah. And we can always do more than that, but you know, we try to keep it a little simple, right?
Okay, well, that's all we have for now. We'll have some more updates. Also, we'll have sign-up sheets and that sort of thing to be on the team. There's no longer a $10 fee to be on there, so hopefully we can get everyone signed up. And we'll be available for any questions. Thank you.
And anybody's welcome to come to any of our team meetings at any time they want. Especially if you guys want to come to James. Thank you so much, guys.
What an opportunity. Next, we have Lonnie Banner, who's here with our service learning students. Always a favorite time. And James is going to take over the camera.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Lonnie.
So happy to see you today. I hope you're staying warm. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your help and support with our Random Acts of Kindness research projects with our kids. We got a lot of great feedback, and you provided them with an opportunity with unique feedback as well as a way to step even further outside of their comfort zone. So thank you so much for providing that to them. And I've got two fantastic young ladies here today, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about their service sites. So Samantha and Caitlin, you are up.
How far can I go?
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
You're not like in the direct.
Last semester I was at the Salvation Army Soup Kitchen down in downtown Akron, and I helped out with just preparing the meals in the morning, and then on Wednesdays I got to serve the meals to those in the community who needed it. And it was a really rewarding experience because it put me outside of my comfort zone in that I had to work with people who I didn't necessarily interact with daily, because at the Salvation Army, that's where people who are assigned community service by the state can go to get their hours filled. So I met a real variety of characters there. But one of my favorite memories of the soup kitchen was we spent 2 days making this peach cobbler from scratch, just peeling like 30 pounds of peaches and cutting them up. And it was really hard labor, but then when we finally did serve it, we had a lot of people just come up and be like, thank you, this tastes just like my grandma's peach cobbler used to make and everything. And it was so great to see that you're not only providing them basic necessities of food, but you're providing them a sense of comfort and familiarity, and that was just really special. So I really hope to take what I've learned from service learning and from my site experiences onto Harvard next year, where I just got accepted. So that's my story.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Samantha Schulteis. I'm your camera helper this month. I was at Center of Hope Soup Kitchen in Ravenna this past semester, and when I heard Soup Kitchen, I thought I would be making the meals, but they're in the middle of changing buildings, so I was in their pantry. So I would put together sort of like a grocery list for everybody, and according to the number of people in their household, they could get so many items. I'd put it together, help them take it to their cars. My favorite memory, though, was we got to do our site projects. And for mine, I decided to collect toys and books for their Christmas giveaway. And with my family, we ended up donating almost I think it was $300 worth of gifts. And we collected about 80 books and about 50 board games for them. And when I brought it all to the site, my site supervisor was so excited, and the lady that was collecting it, she started crying, and she was so excited. And I'd never seen anybody so grateful, and this site was my favorite place to start out because I got to go somewhere where it was comfortable but still uncomfortable, because I interacted with people who I don't get to interact with every day. Like Caitlin said, like, it was a different environment for me, and I got to meet all different people with different stories, people with kids, people without kids, people who had a home, people who didn't have a home. So it was absolutely fantastic, and it made me very happy. I loved it there, and I'm not going to Harvard, but I'm I'm hoping to go right up the street, actually, to Lesley University, a little private school that's about a half a mile up the street from Harvard. So maybe I'll see you. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you and good luck. All right, are you ready?
I am.
All righty. History will be continued next week because we've run out of time, but Duncan always has something for us.
Thank you, President Allison. I come before you today not as your fine meister, not as your history guru, not as co-chair of the gala, and anything else I might be doing and forgot. Today we're going to talk briefly about a fundraising activity audit. I sit on the foundation board, and Craig has, wisely or unwisely, time will tell, assigned me to be the chair of the Resource Development Subcommittee. As such, my committee determined that one of the things we should do sooner rather than later is to figure out the relative strength of everything we do right now to raise funds. We are interviewing personally some people that have been involved at the chair level in some of these activities, but we wanted to survey the entire membership. Now, on your tables, and if you don't have one on your table, maybe reach over to a table that has an extra questionnaire, you will see the fundraising audit survey questionnaires. In the interest of time, I would ask that at your earliest convenience, but not now, that you read the introductory paragraphs, because that, in a nutshell, describes exactly how the Resource Development Committee has determined the most efficacious way to figure out if we are doing the best we can, and are there any recommendations and potential to tweak existing activities, or quite frankly, add new ones. Now, I want to point out a typo, because I hate them, and I made one. Number 3, first line, we belong to a club, not a cub. Good enough. Secondly, and please listen as carefully as you can, this audit is not designed to put a rubber stamp on change. This audit is designed simply and completely to get your feedback on what you like, what you don't like, what we can do better, and what should stay the same. And that's it. There's no hidden agenda here. My committee lacks the time and the passion for hidden agendas. What we want to do is audit, like most of you have done in your businesses for years. Now, in addition to surveying you, in addition to interviewing live, if you will, some key co-chairs and leaders, we will be going back at least 5 years and looking at the gross and net take, if you will, for everything we've done. We will also benchmark our fundraising activities against clubs in similar demographics around the district, because there are ideas out there that we probably don't even know about yet, and maybe ways to tweak existing activities. And folks, it's that simple. Now, you will notice in paragraph 2 that the deadline for returning this survey is next Wednesday. Experience has dictated to me that the longer you give people to do something like this, the longer they take and the less you get back. 7 days. Now, if you are absolutely opposed to actually writing on a hard copy, which many of you could be in 2015, let me know after the meeting and I will email you this. You may save it in a Word document, fill it out, and send it to me. And it's really that simple. If you have questions, if you object to the entire process, if you'd rather lose a tooth than do this, don't do it. But understand that it is feedback like this that helps us grow in our fundraising activities and, quite frankly, in our membership development. I will take questions after the meeting. Thank you for your time.
Makes me want to just go and fill that form out right now. Did anybody leave a telephone at the front?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, you can come claim it.
I can come claim it. I'll do it later.
Fine day, we'll remember this, right?
We got camera claimed out.
He's kind of hiding that. Alrighty, Gail, ready to introduce our speakers for today?
Thank you, President Allison. Before I do that, I wanted to recognize and ask them to stand all the wonderful Rotarians who helped Lonnie's service learning class with the Random Acts of Kindness project that she did the month of, actually the end of December and the month of January. Come on guys, stand up. Everybody who went and helped with that. It was a wonderful project and we thoroughly enjoyed all the presentations. I'm Rich Warfield this morning. I think he's golfing in Florida. Anyway, I would like to introduce our speaker this morning, who is with Hudson Community Service, and that is one of our avenues of service here, and Ron Barnhouse is our liaison to Hudson Community Service. Ron does his food pantry duties on a monthly basis. Les Fossler is retired. He moved to Hudson in 1982. His professional career prior to that was spent in the printing equipment industry, and his wife taught at the Hudson Middle School for a number of years. He's presently treasurer of the Hudson Kiwanis Club, and you might recall one of our featured beneficiaries for our gala last year was the Safety Town project. And Les was very instrumental in handling much of that to make that happen by the time that the school opened in June. He is on the executive committee of Hudson Community Service Association, and the most important thing he told me is he's longing for golf season. Please welcome Les Fossler.
Thank you very much. I'm going to say just a couple of words about how Hudson Community Service Association got started. Back during World War II, it had been a little over 25 years since James Ellsworth, one of the founders of Hudson, had died, and there was very little in the way of community organization in the early 1940s. So there were a number of citizens at that time that decided that they wanted to get together and form an organization that would provide assistance and some organization to the community. So in 1944, Hudson Community Service Association was formed. I know that you hate having people read things to you, but I'm just going to read a couple of short lines, because in 1944, when they filed the charter with the state of Ohio, this is what they said was the purpose of the organization, is to promote the general welfare of the city, of the township and village of Hudson by providing recreational facilities for said citizens, by providing and encouraging improvements for the convenience and comfort of said citizens, by promoting general welfare and charitable work among said citizens, and providing and planning the solutions of problems affecting the returning members of the United States Armed Forces from Hudson and the village and so on and so forth. You will see today that many of the things that are done by organizations like yours and like all the other members of the Hudson Community Service Association, have not strayed far from the original concept and the original ideas and the original things set forth in the charter back in 1944. So today, we're going to talk about the three main areas of the Hudson Community Service Association. We have a Helping Hands organization, we have a lighting committee, and we have a food pantry. And all of those are our primary three overview or seeing organizations that drive most of the things that we do. Although there are 30+ organizations within the Hudson community that belong to HCSA, including you people. It's those 30 organizations that drive the primary three functions that we have. So that's our background, and we'll move on then to talking about the individual groups within our organization. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Jim Garrison. I am the Vice Chairman of the Food Pantry Committee. Our chairman is suffering in the heat of Florida. I talked to him yesterday, and it's horrible. It's just horrible. Yeah. But so I don't usually do this stuff. I threw together a few notes. I could really talk about the food pantry for like a half an hour or more. Sometimes I do that when people come to volunteer. Those of you who have done that know that. Because I really enjoy working there. It's a very worthwhile effort of HCSA. We've been at the Rejoice Lutheran Church for about 3 years. I've been involved in it for about the last 3 years. Rejoice Lutheran is very kind, and they give us a room to use free of charge. We also pretty much have the run of the church. I've been taught how to work the lighting system, the furnace, and all that kind of stuff. So, it's pretty much ours whenever we need it. They're very gracious there. We serve residents of the Hudson City School District only. The pantry serves an average of 28 families a month. That works out to about 77 people. Yearly, we serve approximately 330 families, or 920 people. And when I mention to people that we have a food pantry in Hudson, the first response is Hudson. Hudson has a food pantry? People need food? Yeah, you don't get it. You don't see it. You don't really see it in many places when you go out. People walk around saying, I need food. So they don't understand that, and I explain to them the different kinds of people that need it and different situations. Somebody gets laid off, somebody gets fired, whatever. A business closes. The people are in a pinch. They have a mortgage. They have a car payment. They also have to pay for utilities, and Jennifer will talk about that when she comes up. How we can help with that. But they also need food. We provide them with a 3-day supply of food when they come in. We do the food distributions the 4th Saturday of every month from noon until 2:30. Our collection times are Thursdays from 4 to 7, Saturdays 9 to noon, and that's when people can bring in the food. And I must say, the Hudson community is very, 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 and I could just add varies to that, supportive of the food pantry. We have donations like you would not believe, people that bring them in on a regular basis. Some we see once and never again. Organizations that bring it in. It's amazing the support that we have. In 2014, we have pretty much a core of people that come in on a regular basis to the pantry every month that need the food. In 2014, though, we had 30 new families. Some of these will never come back. Some of these will only come back a couple times, but they're people that we've never seen over the years before. 30% of the people we serve are children between the ages of 0 and 17. 16% are seniors, age 60 and over. We have approximately 26 volunteers a month. Some of those are from Rotary, and then the others are from all the other groups, the churches and other organizations that are part of HCSA. We also have the through the League for Service, they bring in some of the students from service learning, and we appreciate their help because, you know, they bring a fresh face, a young face, and they're very enthusiastic when they get there, and I must say that everything they've done a very good job. So I thank them. So we average 26 volunteers a month, roughly 100 hours a month of volunteer time. Monetary donations are just as important as food donations. The money helps us pay for the vouchers that we issue to the families every month. Families that have between 1 to 4 members get a $10 voucher. Between 5 and 8 get a $20 voucher. They can take that to Acme and they can buy non-taxable goods like bread, milk, eggs, things like that. So we give them that on top of the food that they get at the pantry. We also, recently we became members of the Akron-Canton Food Bank, and we made our first pickup down there last week. That is an amazing place. If anybody ever gets a chance to go down there, that is just an amazing place. And the prices are very good, so that helps us with our budget so we don't, you know, run out of money. And that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions at the end, I'll be, you know, glad to attempt to answer them. Like I said, I could talk about the pantry all day long. Thank you very much.
After you can
Hi, I'm Jennifer McKinley, and I am a community volunteer. Ron passed out some information for each table. Hopefully I had enough. And I am the chairman of Helping Hands, which is part of Hudson League for Service. So what do we do at Helping Hands? We have a crisis phone number that when people are in need within this Hudson City School District, they can call 211, which is a number that's available to any county has this number, and that person would get routed then to the Helping Hands crisis line. We help people with their utility bills. Say they're in a situation where they've received a shut-off notice and their heat or gas is going to be turned off. We work with them and the gas company to get that started back on. We also provide and help families with clothing for students until they graduate Hudson High School. So this was, in the beginning, this was something that was just for new school clothes, and now it's expanded a little bit to what is needed. So if they need new school clothes, they're provided that. And we have a breakdown of ages. So if they're you know, preschool age or, you know, birth to, I think it's 11 or 12, they get $50. And we work with Kmart in Streetsboro. If they're over that, 13 to until they graduate, they would get $75. So they would get brand new clothing, and then a $35 voucher for boots or shoes or a coat. So that would just depend on that situation. We also help families with rent if they are going to be, if they've received a notice that they are going to be kicked out. Another really interesting area that we were able to help with this year, we received a grant from the Kiwanis who wanted to help children with after-school sports, and we were able to use that money for driver's education. I'm not sure if you're aware, but driver's education to learn how to drive a car is over $300. And that is something that's a pretty steep amount of money for some of these families to pay. So we were able to provide 30% of that to help support those families. Also, another way that we help this year is that in order to play sports or to be in band or to be in any type of club within the Hudson City School District, you are charged a fee. This is something that's changed over the past, I want to say, 4 years. So the school charges you a fee, and So an example would be a sporting event would be $200 fee. That used to be a $400 fee. And then there's a cap at the end of the year depending on, I think it's, I don't know what the cap is right now, but you pay up to like 4 sports, I want to say. So the interesting thing about this is that I can talk about football. So football starts in the summer, and a child is participating with the team all summer long. And then we get into the season when they're about to start their first game, and that's when the money is due. So if they don't have that money to pay, they don't get to play. And so we were very fortunate with that grant that we were able to help children stay on the team and band as well, and continue to participate. So I would say that this year we have spent $5,000 on utilities, and a little over almost $2,000 on rent, clothing, education, and gasoline. We also help families with gasoline for their car. So anyway, they call it the crisis line. We verify them, so this isn't just anybody, you know. And we also work very closely with Julie Schultz, who's a social worker at Hudson City Schools, and Kristen Keller, who's the ministerial social worker. So we all work together. If interested in helping, like I said, I passed out some information. We mainly take monetary donations, which then are spread out for the different areas of what is needed. So that could be education, utilities, clothing, rent, gasoline. And we have policies and procedures that we follow in order to determine how much and how often somebody will get help through us. So, do you have any questions, or you want to wait till the end? Okay, thank you.
The last major excuse me, area of that HCSA is involved in is a committee we call the Lighting Committee. Back in 1948, not too long after HCSA was initially founded, Mary Lou Morse, who many of you will know of or may have known personally, decided that there should be some Christmas lights on the green. So she convinced a group of friends and their spouses and things to take some step ladders, go down to the green and decorate some of those tall, almost 6 foot tall evergreens. So that was the beginning of the lighting on the green and everything. Now, today, some of those trees on the green that are living trees, we believe are some of the tallest in the country that are actually, you know, you go to Rockefeller Center or you travel around the country, you see all these great Christmas trees, but they're all cut down someplace else and brought in. The ones on the green are live, living, and are just decorated at Christmas time. We believe that they are some of the tallest in the country. Now, when the trees became too tall for Mary Lou and her associates to decorate it, they got involved with Hudson Public Power, and they took over the responsibility for hanging the lights and everything else. And today they provide the labor. The lighting committee provides the bulbs and all the other related costs, but the labor and everything is donated by Hudson Public Power to put up all those bulbs you see all the time. Last year, the lighting committee decided that it was time to think about raising some extra money to begin to switch to LED bulbs. As you know, the country's going greener every day, and there's some real advantages in going to LED bulbs. In our situation, the power on the green was maxed out. There was no more ability to add, to do an additional tree or anything like that, because all the power was being consumed with the trees that we had. By switching to LED lights, you consume less power and you can light more trees. So we decided it was time to, begin to raise some funds to make the switch to LED. LED bulbs are more expensive than incandescent, but they last longer, and they are making some progress on the colors and things. If you look at LED bulbs 10 years ago, quite frankly, they were ugly. So we set a goal on the lighting committee to ask people to sponsor trees this year. We set a high goal of 10, and we were absolutely shocked when we got 11 families, foundations, and organizations to sponsor a tree, which is a great start towards, our switch to LEDs. And if you looked at things this year, you probably noticed that the lights on the light poles didn't look very good. You could look at things in dark rooms, and you could do this and you could do that, but until you actually get things up where you can see them in the real thing, we're going to have to make some adjustments to the lights on the light poles for next year. And we're also going to have to adjust the bulbs somewhat on our strings. The blues, if you noticed, overpowered every other bulb that we had on the ones that we did. Now, we didn't do them all. The big trees were still incandescents. We switched LEDs on a couple of small trees and on the clock tower. And the blue bulbs were so overpowering that we're going to have to make some changes next year with a little different combination. We're going to have to take out some blues and add some other combinations. We've gone normally with a 4-bulb rotation, and but we won't have blue bulbs, I can assure you, every 4th bulb. Now, one last thing. Rotary was very gracious and gave us a generous donation last year, and we really appreciate it. Now, as a member of Kiwanis, I want to say that we always look up to you people for the way you run your organization and how you do things. And we look at you to see if we can learn things that might help us run our organization better. So it's a pleasure to be here today on behalf of HCSA, but also to tell you how much we think of you as from the Kiwanis point of view. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to wind up our meeting. Oh wait, Art has a question.
I have a question for Jim. Jim, are we still looking for a larger space to replace what we have there at Rejoice Lutheran? And if so, when's our agreement run out with the church?
We've got Can anybody hear me when I talk? Oh, we are? Okay.
We didn't tell him he's going to be on TV.
We really haven't talked about that for quite a while now, because we have an overflow space that we're using to store some of the overflow that we have. So I really can't answer your question. I mean, if somebody had a space out there that they could donate that was larger, that we had, of course, as you know, free reign, like at the church, our own keys and that kind of stuff and that, we'd be more than happy to take a look at it to see if it would work for us.
If I could, to just make a plea to the club, we've been looking for space, larger space, rather than continuing to use the church's one room. So it's only about a 14 by 18 room, and we really need about twice as much more space to house all the food. And then we wouldn't need the overflow. So if you know of anyone in this community that has, a good sized space, maybe about 20 by 20 or even a little bit larger, that would be willing to donate that space to the food pantry, they could certainly use the additional space. Thank you.
Thanks, Art. Don't forget there's a Rotary Cavs game event January 30th. The Cavs play Sacramento. It's a 7 o'clock game. I want to thank our greeters, Ron Strobel and Catherine Sines, our AV team, Jimmy Sutphin, Ron Barnhouse, Tom Page, Larry Santon, James Field, and Samantha Schultheis. There is a foundation board meeting right after this meeting. All are welcome. We wanted to sing happy birthday to Art, but there's no time. Happy birthday. Lastly, we'll have our drawing to see who's going to win the big bucks.
There's no time.
No birthday this year, gotta come back next year. You're really not having a birthday.
We're not celebrating.
No. You're in trouble.
The last four numbers, it's a payout of $13 and a jackpot of $257.
Ready? 0301.
0301. Liz.
Oh, look at that.
Thanks again.
No, it's not a problem.
So disappointed that you did not get the black marble. But here, I'll give you your $13. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.